Hey, it's Chris. What do we got going on this week? 5 games that you should know about this week coming to crowdfunding. This is going to be an interesting week. Again, spread throughout. If you missed yesterday's roundup, go check that out. I talked about over 20 games. Over 20 games because I told you it was going to be an absolutely freaking massive, massive week. Wasn't kidding about that. But we're past that now, right? Forget about that. We don't talk about old games. Actually, we will be talking about old games because this coming week, I will also be putting out the ever favorite Don't Back Anything video, where I run you through as many games as I can in a short amount of time, and I tell you why you should not back any of them, period. And, facetiously also speaking that if you still want to back them, you can, because that's okay. But, trying to get you off the ledge, not the FOMO style of things. That being said, what else do you need to know? Let's go to number 1, the one that I've been waiting for all month, the one that has been on my radar, the one that I have a prototype copy of, that I'll have a video coming out either tomorrow or the next day, talking about Defenders of the Wild, from the makers of Block, Bly, Block, the 3rd edition, outlandish games. And this is going to be a very, very interesting twist. This is probably one of the closest things I've ever seen in terms of mimicking the Spirit Island dynamic in the sense of difficulty, as well as sprawlingness, as well as trying to mount a comeback when the odds are stacked against you overwhelmingly, as you play as cute little root-esque woodland creatures fending off the evil machines that are slowly trying to terraform. I went there. As they try and slowly transform and terraform the nature preserve that you are protecting into a bleak, sort of cemented over machine and robotic landscape. And it really is doing something a little bit different. You have asymmetric characters with their own unique decks that you're slowly putting down one at a time as an action programming, not being able to communicate with your partners, figuring out what you want to do as these machines are slowly sprawling and spreading throughout the land, and you're trying to traverse, knock them out in a Spirit Island-esque way, rebuff them, and take them out in the first place. But unlike the settlers on Spirit Island, you take out the machine that is slowly pre-programmed to go around in this unique AI system. You actually just put it back to the center of the island. And so you need to be able to take them out, keep them out, mitigate them enough, but also undevelop the lands that they have developed in the first place. And it's got a cool action system. It's really going to do something unique. Now, again, it's going to be a hard cooperative game. This is a tough genre, a tough market in the first place. It's got awesome looking meeples, not miniatures. And so, just like Dawn of Peacemakers, I'm going to go out and say that it's not going to raise, $1 million. But I'll make an argument. It's probably one of the best co-op games I've played in a long time. One of the best new co-op games I've played in a long time. And so that says something right there if you're familiar with how much I like co-ops and how much I enjoy them. It might be the best co-op game I've played all year. Take that for what you will right now. So that's launching this week. Second up, we have another complete different spin on things. And I wasn't expecting this. I sort of poo-pooed it, but I had to look it up and I had to do some more research. And the fact is, there's not really a whole lot out there on it. But it's the one that you've been seeing ads for at the top of Board Game Geek. It's Aberration. This is a horror-based tower defense style game. The only information that's on there is a Board Game Co. preview video and a gameplay video. So cards close to the vest, Ghostfire as a new company putting out something slightly different, because me, I like me some tower defense as well. Tower defense is a highly underutilized mechanism in the hobby as a whole because it's hard to do well. So that's what you have to think about. How asymmetric, cooperative, min-maxing can you make this? I mean, that was my big problem with Kingdom Rush from Lucky Duck. Not that it was a bad game, but it was more of a puzzle rather than a fun cooperative experience, because it felt like you had to, especially in the early scenarios in the first game. I didn't end up backing the second one because I didn't like how the first one was splayed out, even though I know the second one's going to be better. It basically became an optimization puzzle. You had to do it in a certain way every single time or you were going to fail. That's the level of difficulty there. Now, again, me, difficulty, as I just said with Defenders of the Wild, is not an issue. But, and I want to feel like I have a chance. A chance at whenever, whatever, how I maneuver things, not just that I completely min-max correctly. I mean, that's my problem with Kingdom Death Monster as a whole. Especially early game, especially without some of this new stuff that's going to be coming out with the Gambler's Chest and a few of the other expansions when you get them in 2027. is a min-max situation. You can't beat some of that later game stuff, some of the higher level expansion stuff, unless you min-max to the max in terms of gaming the game very, very early on. And that doesn't leave me with a great taste in my mouth oftentimes in these games. That's okay. That's just not my preferred preference. So we're going to see what Aberration, going back to that, right? Side trail, squirrel, is going to bring us. And so that's why I'm intrigued to see. And if the price point is affordable, if it's not too miniature heavy driven, because I don't know, didn't check out it too much in depth at this point, I'm going to be keeping my eyes peeled on this one as well. Third up, we have the third in the line of Orchard, Grove, and now Forage. And it's a 9-card solitaire system where you're slowly gathering wild food and watching out for hungry mice that are going to take it away from you. I mean, it's like the button shies, if you will. This small 9 to 18 card decks that are utilized for solo games where you can not only try and beat the game, but also go for high scores. That'll give you different scoring and objectives on the reverse of, or the backside of these cards in the first place. Again, totally not for me, but people who love this, people love it. So I thought I'd mention it, as, you know, we talked about so many solo games yesterday. Holy cow. Again, go check out that video. Look at me teasing, prompting all of the other stuff in my own videos. Fourth up, gosh, this is going great. The Shivers. Again, you remember this gimmick? The Shivers board game, a GM less, but also a storyteller, providing sort of an escape room, mystery solving style of things. And the gimmick being that it popped up. It was a pop-up book. And it's coming back to crowdfunding as well this week with a couple new expansions. And they say that you can get it now at retail, because otherwise this one looks like it's going to be delivering, they said in the forum section, probably about a year. And so, I don't know. Do you like that sort of thing? Do you want to do a mystery with a little bit of a storyteller, with a little bit of someone who knows all the situations in an escape room style mystery in that sense? I mean, some people are going to like that. How much interaction, how much development? You know, a couple of reviews on Board Game Geek seem to really like it in terms of what it's doing in those aspects. But again, I look at that as, you know, price point is definitely going to cost you from the gimmick standpoint. And then also what you're going to have to deal with is this isn't going to convert you. This isn't going to be a game that you're going to take and look at and go, yeah, Chris, this is the one that converted me to liking this style of escape room, mystery solving, whatever games, right? Again, I'm not saying it's an escape room, but, you know, of those getting the clues, figuring things out, that style of things, it's not probably going to change your mind. And are you willing to pay, you know, upwards of triple digits to know that? And that's going to be the question you have to ask yourself. Then we also have League of Dungeoneers, which is apparently going to be relaunching with a new expansion. And I talked about it previously as more of a D&D-esque light style of dungeon crawl with a fair amount of overhead, but it's probably the closest thing to that I've ever seen in the board game side of things. And people seem to really like it. Again, as a triple digit price point dungeon crawler, you need to just know, okay, which of these is for me? And is this one for you? Is it going to be giving us more of a good thing? Is it going to be adding a lot of content? What's it going to look like as well? So that one's going to be launching. And then that's it. I mean, those are the big five. I mean, there's another one, Irune, Light and Darkness, another dungeon crawl with an app that's going to be out there as well. Again, it was a weird one. I saw a lot of those games, actually, Irune, when it was being delivered, show right up on the secondary market. So I'm not sure if people weren't happy with it or if they didn't quite know what they backed, but it's only got 100 ratings on Board Game Geek and 8.2, right? Question mark? I have no idea. Again, dungeon crawl, tower defense this week in terms of this. What's the mix of things? This one has an app. A lot of people are turned off by apps in the first place. So we'll see what the price point is. We'll see what the miniatures look like, and we'll kind of go from there. What else we got going on? Well, I got some reviews I need to put out. I got a couple games that really need to be talked about that I've been putting off. And I'm debating about doing a multi-review in, you know, like the indie game one from this week, or just a thematic mechanistic overview, or a mechanical overview, like a couple cooperative games and ranking, or even just a company review. Like I've got a couple games from a couple different companies and I'm maybe thinking about throwing those together. What do you think? What do you think would be most appealing or appetizing? You know, I have a couple from Plaid Hat, for example. I have a couple from Hatchet. I have a couple from one or two other companies as well that I'm just trying to like figure out where they're going to fit in and trying to figure out how to do. I have a very overdue one from Brother Ming, who's always been super gracious to me ever since the Fire Emblem game. I have to get my review out of his Genshin Tarot game because he's developing an expansion for it as well. And let me tell you right now, speaking of hard cooperative games, That one right there. One of the hardest I've played in a very, very long time. Much harder than even Defenders of the Wild, I would argue, in a completely different deck building manner. So, yeah. Yeah. Station Fall, I got to do Station Fall as well. That one's been harder to get from the player count side of things too. So, yeah. And then I teased yesterday that I got a copy of something from a company that is very recognizable. In fact, it was on my top 10 games of the year in the year it came out. It was like, I think even top 3 or 4 that year. And it may or may not, this is really the spoiler, right? It may or may not have won the Spiel Award. I'm not sure which one it won, but it won one of them. And the expansion for it is coming out in Essen time. Narrow it down yet? Narrow it down yet? It's got a nature theme. You can put 2 and 2 together. But I got that. They shipped me it. It's sitting on my kitchen table right now. So that's probably what I'm going to be playing this weekend. You know, when you get a game like that, I hate to say it, the truth of the matter is, even though I've got like a dozen other games I need to get played and reviewed, and that one almost immediately goes to the top of the list. It's the truth of things on this side of things. I'll be transparent with you guys about that. You know, there is a little bit of me overwhelmingly wants to be the first one to get some clicks and some thoughts and reviews, even though I'm not the first one, because I think there are people that had pre-production copies and talked about it at like Gen Con and stuff. But yeah, I'm going to do that one as well. So like I mentioned, don't back anything video later this week. Defenders of the Wild, probably 1 or 2 other reviews as well. So, and you know what? I've had a couple of these lately, disappointing crowdfunding games. So we're probably going to at some point tune those in. I still haven't even launched the crowdfunding lookbacks from August. I have another news video I'm working on, so that news video might preempt one of the reviews this week, because there's been a couple new interesting tidbits that have come out over the place as well that deserve talking about. And then, you know, inevitably I'm going to have to do the top 10 Essen video of don't buy these at Essen, but these are the ones that should be on your radar at least to pick up a year from now if they actually hold any water or weight from that time. Because that's my shtick, and I'm sticking to it. I'm done. Peace out. I'm working all weekend. I just realized there's a Vagrant Song rulebook sitting next to my chair that never got back in the box, so I need to take care of that after this video's done. Yeah, that's right. That's what you get at the end of the video on the Saturday video, because I get to talk about whatever I want on my channel, and it's mine to do with what I want. That's all I got. That's all I got. I'm in a good mood, though. Stay classy. Have a great freaking weekend. See you around. Subscribe. If you made it to this part of the video and you're not subscribed, you owe it to yourself to put up with me this long and not be subscribed. Come on. Click the button. See you around.